Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, I'm Dale Beaumont and welcome to Secrets Exposed. This is the show that takes you up close and personal with world-leading business experts. And our topic for this interview is how to create a product and sell it all over the world. That coming up in just a moment. My special guest today is successful entrepreneur Scott Boocock, and our topic for this interview is how to create a product and sell it all over the world. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much for having me.
All right, so tell us a little bit about this product that you created. What is it and how does it work?
It's called a heg, and for want of a better word, it's a peg with two hooks on the side. And it actually started with putting out the washing. I picked up a black dress of my wife's, which is actually behind me here, the black dress that's hanging up. And I thought, how am I going to actually hang this up without any peg marks, without any line marks, and without any sun marks? And I stood there in front of that line, and I looked up, and I saw a peg, and I thought, if I put a hook on it, I could actually put the spaghetti straps, hook them on, and there'd be no peg marks, line marks, and sun marks. And then 4 months went past, and I do the same thing as what everyone does, and usually do nothing about their ideas. I mean, everyone has an idea, and usually do nothing about it. And I did the same for about 4 months. But then I realised every time I took the washing out, about 40% of your washing has straps on it. Your jeans, where your belts go through, where the loop is, bras, knickers, singlets, and the list went on. And I realised 40% could be hooked up and not pegged up. And that's how it started. And then I started to research on how I could actually bring that idea to fruition.
All right, so hold it up for the camera.
Yep.
How does it actually work?
So very simply, it's a peg as normal. I don't think we could ever change the psychology of pegging around the world. It's been, since 1853, the peg was invented, the wooden one. Right. So it's been 160 years and no one's actually value added to it. The idea behind the hooks is simply that with anything with a strap or where you can hook up, you put it on the hooks instead, which creates a space saving as well. You end up with the peg side and you can hook 2 more garments off it, so you end up with space saving. But then I took it further and I put a lot of features on in regards to it, and I'm happy to talk about them now if you want.
Could we talk about some of the features?
Very features. So kick-off system at the top, a nice big wide ergonomic thumbprint on big thumbs and people with arthritis, you know, a bit of purchase and you don't have to actually bend your fingers, so that was one of the features. The other one was bringing the hinge up to the very, or 3/4 of the way up. You end up with a wide mouth at the bottom, but 22 mil compared to about 14 from most pegs. And what that's good for is blankets and big thick items. The actual ball on the end of the peg is not serrated and hasn't got that grip, which doesn't leave peg marks. And then of course a stainless steel spring, so no rust. And that's sort of how it all started.
So how successful has this product been?
It's been amazing. I mean, it started as an idea in the backyard, and then I realised that no one had done it in the world, and I started to research on how to do it, and I typed into Google how pegs with hooks, and there was about 348,000 images came up, and that's when I went, oh, someone's done it. You know, there's no way this is going to actually happen. Got to about, and I had a cup of coffee and I thought, oh, well, I'll have a look anyway. So I clicked on the first image and started to go through. And I got to about 4,000 images and realised that none of them had a hook on a peg, even though it had 300,000 images. So I started to get pretty excited, and I did a patent search on it, and a Google patent search, and there was nothing. And then I did some further searches, and I jumped online, and I was getting pretty excited about it. And that's how it all started, and I realised that no one had done it.
All right, so how many units have you sold? And you're obviously an Aussie, but you've now travelled all over the world with this product. So yes. How many have you sold, and where has it gone?
Sure. It started originally, I actually had to manufacture in China originally, simply because everyone kept telling me that you couldn't do it in Australia. So I went to a supermarket chain in South Australia and I took my little heg in there, a prototype, cost me $500 for a prototype. And I walked in there and I said, this is my idea, it's an Aussie innovation, I want to do it around the world, will you take it? And I walked out of there with 55 supermarkets on that day. So it was pretty exciting. That was on November the 21st, just over 2 years ago. 55 supermarkets soon grew to 1,400 supermarkets in Australia. So
you're in 1,400 supermarkets?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
1,400, and then I spoke to Woolworths, and we secured Woolworths in Australia, another 950, so we're in about 2,000 supermarkets in Australia. We're on television shopping in Australia, and now we export to 18 countries, and we have a goal of producing 53 million of these this calendar year.
53 million Pegs.
53 million hegs, correct. 53 million hegs,
And
yeah.
you just returned from the UK,
I
did a
did.
whole bunch of stuff over there.
Yes,
and
just
it's
came
now
in.
going into stores as well as television?
It is, yeah. We export to 18 countries. We just launched 450 supermarkets in Canada called Canadian Tire. We launched in America, Menards, and we are on television for TV shopping in England, of which launches in 2 months' time.
And is the idea to push into America more over the next few years?
Yeah, very much so. We just spent 4 days at an expo in Chicago called the Housewares and Homewares Show. And it was such a big take. There's 2,800 exhibitors. And the comment that we kept on getting was there's not much new stuff or innovative. It's all just a change on the last product. So having something like this was very well received. And we have organisations from around the world actually looking at this now. So we'll launch in the countries week by week.
All right, fantastic. So you all know it's been highly successful, and what we're going to do for the rest of the interview is go through a whole bunch of questions. If you've got an idea in your head about a product that you want to create, how do you go from literally the birth of an idea all the way through till selling 53, was it, million units over the course of 12 months. So we're now going to talk about how that could happen for you as well. So talk us through that idea, and you said about how you came up with it.
Yes.
And how did you then, you said you went on to Google and you saw that there hadn't anyone that had done it.
Yeah.
What did you do next?
Yeah, it started with how to actually manufacture. I'm not from a manufacturing background. So
what was your background?
It's a business background. Hotel management, cruise ships, casinos, tourism. Never in manufacturing in my life. And I think that's the epitome of entrepreneurs and innovators, is that we actually develop, we come up with these ideas based around either our home or our work environment, and that's what happened to me. I was just at home, and that's where the idea happened. So what I did was Google how to make a peg, and it sent me to a manufacturing company. I sat with them and said, hey, listen, I want to produce a peg in Australia, plastic. And to be honest with you, they probably looked at me and rubbed their hands thinking, this is crazy. How are you going to compete against China? They sent me to an industrial design engineer, and that was the best thing that ever happened. I mean, a lot of people, when they have these ideas, the first thing they do is go to how I'm actually going to make it, whereas I actually started with why I wanted to make it, and I want to go through that in a minute.
Tell us about that, yeah, when you're ready.
Yeah, so I went to an industrial design engineer, and I sat with him, Andrew from Fingo in Adelaide, and I told him about all the ideas that I had. I said, when I go outside and I broom and I hit the peg basket, it falls down, they smash everywhere. I said, I was tired of that. How can I solve that problem? We decided to put some UV injected into there, so you have that UV protection to make it last longer. I told him about the bulky items and bath mats and et cetera. And so we said, right, if we move the hinge up, you end up with a wider mouth. Of course, the hooks is the main one. And what happened was we just sat and talked to a design engineer about what I wanted. I wanted to make it buyable. I wanted to make it feel good in your hand. I wanted people to go, that's quality and that's quality innovation. And by sitting there and doing that, we sketched it out and we ended up with a picture of what I wanted. It was the most important part, I'll be honest, and that then developed into the patent. But going back to the why to me was the most important thing, because a lot of people do these ideas and they start thinking about how to make them straight away. Whereas I actually thought, if I did this, why are you and why is the rest of the world going to buy it? And by calling it a heg, perfect timing. By calling it a heg, I took the H from the hook and the EG from pegs and called it a hegs. Because I wanted, when you walk into a supermarket chain or when you're outside and you're putting up the washing, I thought about the sales side going, if you say, give me a heg or pass me a heg or can I buy a packet of hegs, you know you're getting a peg with a hook. So the marketing thought process for me of why started at the very beginning, before I even had a design, before I even thought of what it was going to look like. I needed to make sure that someone was going to buy it.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What about if you had gone online
Yes.
and you saw that someone else had created a peg with a hook on it and it had been done? Would you have just stopped at that point and go, oh, well, it's been done before?
Yeah.
Or would you have pursued it?
I would have pursued it for a couple of reasons. I've come up with a lot of inventions in my life, and what happens with when you actually see that it's done before, there's two things. One, either that they've taken it to market and they are producing worldwide and they have a patent, or they had an idea, they put a patent in and it's lapsed and they actually don't do it anymore. So you've got to do more research, and I did that research. I was pretty lucky because it didn't exist in the world. But if it did exist, I'd be jumping online and go to Google Patents. I'd be talking to my patent attorney and say, where is that patent registered? Is it just in their own country? Because patents are actually only 2.5 years until you have to decide on what countries to go. So for example, if you saw an idea online and it was patented, you'd go, oh, that's it, they've got the world. Well, they actually don't. They might have chosen 5 countries. So you could actually take that idea and say, I'm in Australia, and they didn't patent in Australia, then yes, you could actually take that idea and do it in Australia. It's really important, actually, because I found that out of us.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.